welcome to Mark Levine, and I believe we have a video introduction on this one. Am I correct?
We do.
Okay, so we're going to do it's a 2-minute video and then a 4-minute speech.
Take your best shot.
Start with the video.
Take your best shot. Where did I go wrong in my analysis?
Well, the first thing you did going wrong was you compared the federal income tax burden to the entire tax burden. That's a common conservative mind trick. But middle class and poor people pay more Social Security taxes as a percentage of their income than the rich.
Now, you're a liberal guy, Mr. Levine. The audience might not know.
I am.
But you were on program a couple of times. Smart guy.
Liberals believe that blacks are people and therefore are protected under the 14th Amendment. Conservatives believe that corporations are people. Now, liberals say corporations aren't human beings. They're not people.
Here's Mark. Mark's looking at his Constitution.
Always know we've hit stride when Mark pulls out his Constitution.
That's right. Immigration is a federal standard. It is federal standard according to the Constitution. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. No one's taking away anyone's militia rights. But apart from a militia, it seems to me what guns you can have and what guns you shouldn't have, we should rely on the elected representatives of the people. Healthcare bill is not a budget buster, it's a budget booster. I don't think Canadians are necessarily smarter than Americans. Sure. They get better care at half the cost.
Yeah, please.
We need a combination. That's why we have Social Security. That's why we have Medicare.
Mr. Levine, you asked a very good question, and I'll give you an excellent answer. Don't have the right to force me to buy something.
You're buying healthcare. Healthcare is for everyone. Look, a lot of states force you to buy car insurance.
I'm sure there are people out there going, I don't want it. I don't want it. See,
everybody lives or dies, Bill. Everybody needs healthcare.
There are bad apples in every business environment.
Which is why you need government regulation to ferret them out.
There you and I will agree.
All right.
Okay? You need the government. You need the
We
government.
both want to beef up the SEC.
Huh?
Conservatives will tell you all the time, government is not the answer. Let the private industry do it. Leave Wall Street alone, and then they ruin the economy. Leave the oil companies alone, and then they ruin the Gulf. What people are learning is that government regulation is often necessary. You can't trust the corporations to police themselves.
So my name is Mark Levine. I am the aggressive progressive. I've got hundreds of those clips on TV. I've done thousands on radio. And frankly, I have to admit, I kind of enjoy going after the right wing. It's easy pickings. Their arguments are pretty loud. I don't see enough Democrats doing that. I'm concerned that the right wing sets the agenda. If they set the terms of debate, we all lose. One of the things that my former boss, Congressman Barney Frank, taught me is that if you can work with Republicans, if they're being reasonable, work with them, get something done. But if they're not being reasonable, you can't be afraid to call them out. That's what Jim Moran did. That's what Barney Frank always did. The other thing he did is he served constituents. He was great. Let me tell you, anyone who came into our office and wanted to talk with the member of Congress, Barney Frank, got a personal meeting, I would do the same. We answered every single letter. But the main thing is, Barney looked out for the little guy. He understood that the people who are left out are the people that need the most help. If you had a bank lobbyist come in the room and a homeless immigrant with AIDS, we looked after the homeless immigrant with AIDS. Because Barney always said, there'll always be someone looking out for the bank lobbyist. If you elect me as your congressman, you need to know who I am. And I hope each of you will take the time to meet you. I want to meet each and every one of you. I want to know what your concerns are for Congress. You need to know some of the first rules of Mark Levine, because I've been a citizen activist for 20 years. I'm also a precinct captain in Alexandria, not in Arlington, but I have been for many years. I've been a voter protection attorney, and yes, many of you know, I'm the guy that wrote the brief challenging the Bush electors in Florida, because I have to believe the American people should choose the president, not the Supreme Court. The first rule of Mark Levine, injustice. There's no nice way to say this. Injustice pisses me off. It makes me really angry. When I turn on the television and I see that another mentally ill young man found it really easy to get a gun and mow down people in a mall, and then I hear Democrats saying, oh, we can't win on the gun issue. When 90% of Americans support background checks, I see Democrats need a little bit of background. President Obama has asked us to challenge him from the left. And I would do just that. I've done that on the radio for 10 years. I've done that with Barney Frank for 3 years. There's not a single federal issue in my thousands of radio shows that I have not dealt with in detail. I've got a very long record, and I hope you'll check it out. But I've also fought battles when no one was fighting them. It's easy to support marriage equality now. I founded one of the earliest marriage equality organizations in the country in the 1990s. I wrote the second marriage equality bill in the country. I wrote a good part of DC's marriage equality bill, and when they challenged it in court, I went to court to defend it. Didn't charge, because that's not what I'm about. I'm about making justice for all. In Tennessee, my home state, when I found out that victims of domestic violence could lose their children, I wrote legislation. I've never served in the legislature, but I wrote legislation that had unanimous support from Democrats and Republicans. Unanimously, we passed a law to protect victims of domestic violence and their children. And on the radio, I have looked out for victims of institutional abuse, of child abuse. Ask me some time about this issue. I feel about it very passionately. And let me tell you, now is no time to sit there and accept the Republican agenda. The American dream is slipping away. Most of you know my biggest issue is making college affordable again. Because too many kids are going to college, they come home, and they're drowning in debt. And the reason they are, the federal government is making a profit off our students. $58 billion a year off our students. And they can't find a job, they have to live at home with mom and dad. So I say, use the power of the federal government to negotiate down the prices of colleges. You can do that at the state level, just like we use Medicare to negotiate down the prices of drug loans, of pharmaceuticals. I don't believe in just preserving Social Security. All the candidates talk about preserving Social Security. We can expand Social Security so that no one lives in poverty. Easy to do it, just make millionaires pay their fair share. I hope you'll take time to listen and find out what the aggressive progressive can do for you. Thank you so much.